Hey everyone, it's Cupcake again. In this guide, I will be talking about the most common mistake people have is misusing their strategic skills. I've made a graph of strategic skills. Of course, not all of them are included in here, but I'm going to discuss like the most valuable ones and which ones should be just like discarded as soon as you can. Now, I'll start with offense, obviously. The strongest one in offense in low floors is the attack power 5% on every hit for 5 seconds, and when stacked 10 times, that power increased by 100% for 20 seconds. So what this means is that on every hit it's going to refresh and it's going to give you additional 5% attack power. So if your target is stunned and you hit it 10 times, the 10 stacks will stack along with the 100%. So this gives a 150% at bonus attack power. So if you're at 500, you're gonna have 1250, right? That's gonna make your Comet Strike hit really hard. That's the strongest one in low floors. In high floors, the strongest one is the bleed. What it does is it prevents health regen in combat, which means that it prevents healing as well. So soul fighters, summoners, blade dancers, none of them can any longer heal, right? And if they have like 800,000 like health, it's going to bleed them for about 300,000. Now the other strong ones is the basic attack power boost, the basic status damage boost, and the another kind of bleedish thing. Now the attack power, I don't think I need to explain that. Now how does the status damage work? Is status damage is the same as debuff damage. They just mistranslated that somehow. And what this does is basically it increases your damage when the target is stunned. So if you have no like additional pieces like of sparring or challenger, it's just going to give you a flat 100% attack power boost on your abilities, which means it's not useful as long as your target is not CC'd. So you need to CC your target. This is good for lower floors when the targets have lower HP and you can just do one stun lock and just do your things. But all in all, this is basically an attack power boost when your target is CC'd, so it's kind of falling down on the worst category. And the last one from offense we have is deals 1% of the target's maximum HP as additional damage on every hit for 30 seconds, applies up to 20 times. So this is like a worse version of the bleed, because instead of 30% damage, it'll do 20% damage, just that it's much faster, so it's better for bursting. If you're going to try to burst someone in under like 30-40 seconds, then it's better than the bleed. Most of the time that won't be happen, let's be honest here. It's good in higher floors simply because 20%, you know, of 600,000 HP is going to be a lot more than low floors. So this you're going to use every single time you start your CC chain and your starter combination, which I'll be talking about in the next video. But keep in mind, this one is good for kind of everywhere, really. This is good everywhere. Now, kind of offensive is stun. Now, stun has a problem because what's bad and can happen will happen, and by that I mean when you stun him with the 7-second stun, he's going to tap 100%. I don't know like if this is intentional or not, but Dill Legendary will proc, they're whatever, will proc and they will have the tab up. It's really rare for them not to have the tab up for this skill, which is kind of weird in my opinion. It's considered like a bug. Obviously this is just from my perspective. As I watched my own videos, I have seen it work many times, but this is not really common in the skills. I get this really rarely, so I haven't like fully experimented with this, but obviously this is the best when your opponent has already tabbed and you have your blue buff up and everything up. So this is really good for your chain. Just 7 seconds of free DPS, really. Out of these 7 seconds, in my opinion, you'll have about 3 seconds of blue buff up in there. Then you can throw in a Z in there. It's really cool. Now, to defense, honestly, some of these things shouldn't be in defense. Some of these things should be like in the what the actual hell category. Like resist status effects for 20 seconds. Like what is that gonna help you with? you're still gonna die. The problem here isn't that you're getting CC. The problem here is that you're taking immense damage. So, completely useless. Always throw this away. The strongest ability out of defensive skills is the increases health regen in combat by 100% for 30 seconds and increases critical hit defense by 100% for 30 seconds as well. Why is this so good? Because one simple reason. This one can be activated while you're CC'd. So in higher floors, if you tab out early, for example, the question is not whether you can make it, but the question is whether you can survive, right? So this is going to give you like full HP and immortality for the next 30 seconds, and that's really cool. This one goes second because the one on the left goes second because you can't activate it in combat, or maybe vice versa. My brain doesn't work. Resist damage and status effects for 7 seconds. This is good. It has several problems, but it's my favorite against Destroyers and Blade Dancer because they have these small spacers between their skills, so this is really easy to activate. The weakest one probably is the Activate Shield with 30,000 HP for 30 seconds. Now, why? It's pretty simple. It's just 30,000. I mean, 30,000, if you don't have critical defense, is one little smash for a Destroyer. Just smash, bam, that's gone instantly. Of course, the 50% damage reduction, I haven't done the math, but I'm not sure whether that makes the shield 45k, but I think it doesn't. Or maybe. Who knows? Now, as for the utility section, I don't have many skills in here. Also, I missed one defense, sorry. The one from defense is the cleanses all CCs off of you and restores 100% HP. So that's like a second life, right? You get CC'd, you tab out, you get caught again, and you have no tab, and you wait for him to do his combo, and then you use the skill to revive yourself, kind of. That helps a lot. Now, from utility, most of the skills in utility should be in the what the actual hell category. Because I have no clue who thought of this and how do they work. For example, disables the enemy defense for 15 seconds. Like, yeah, okay, that sounds nice, right? But the thing is, it doesn't work. Your enemies are still going to be blocking. The blocks, it doesn't disable anything. I don't know what is considered a defensive skill, but in my opinion, it's a block or a tab or something like that. Meanwhile, all of these abilities can be used. And decreases an enemy's attack power and critical hit damage by 50% for 30 seconds. This is honestly so useless. It's like, as a KFM, you almost don't get hit, because if you do, you're dead, right? If you do get hit, you're dead. What you're trying to do the whole fight is you're trying to kind of iframe around and triple kick him, block him, iron shoulder him, and stuff like that. This, meanwhile, it doesn't do anything for us, so it's shit. Now, the strongest utility skill out there, which I don't have it right here, but is the resets cooldown for all skills, right? This one is the second strongest, while the first strongest is resets cooldowns of skills by 3 seconds every time you hit your opponent. Most people will be like, what the fuck, Cupcake? Now, simple explanation. The simple cooldown reset that instantly resets all of your cooldowns, the problem with it is it doesn't reset your blue buff. And that ability, I'm pretty sure it actually says cannot reset cooldown on it, and I'm not sure why the 3-second one works, but the 3-second one resets cooldown of your blue buff, which means that it's going to allow you to blue buff twice, which is on a 1.5 minute cooldown, which is your main source of burst. And if you can chain it perfectly, your opponent is absolutely dead. No matter what floor it is. Maybe past floor 55 or something, it's not an insta-kill, but before that, it's absolutely an insta-kill. Can also... The difference between these two is that the one that instantly fixes all your cooldowns, it also resets your tab, so it can be used defensively. The one that requires you to hit your opponent is obviously just for offense. So maybe it's more like less utility, more in offense stab, but I couldn't put it anywhere. Besides, I didn't get it. All of this is made with paint to begin with. And proficiency boost, I guess it's a simple thing, right? Applies level 4 proficiency for 60 seconds, increases duration of status effects by 20% per level of proficiency, and ignores enemies' willpower. Currently, we don't even have willpower in the game, so that's kind of out of it. What willpower does is it reduces the duration of CCs that you get hit by. So this obviously is going to ignore this. And the increasal, of course, is level 4. So it's 80% increased CCs during this skill. So it's also really strong for KFM. Now, it's strongest against Blade Masters, Kung Fu Masters, and Force Masters, because these three classes are going to hit your block the most, and your triple kicks and etc. These are the classes that are the easiest to fight for you, and they're honestly... This ability probably like only shines against these three, because against the Blade Dancer or Destro, you won't even get to CC that much. Now, the one thing I need to say is that some skills are good up to a certain floor. For example, the stuns an enemy for 7 seconds value, it decreases the higher you go. Meanwhile, super bleeding and additional damage that applies up to 20 times, it increases as you go up. Status damage is useless most of the time. Attack power is useful all the time. The other skills, of course, the 30,000 HP shield, it's not as good in high floors as it is on low floors, but it is still really useful because it gives a movement speed bonus, and you can run around like a, you know, you can get ultimate evasion, and this buff, you're gonna run like a, I don't know, at Mach 20 speed, you know, no one's gonna even see you. You're gonna be fast like Sonic. And yeah, that's about it for strategic skills. The point is knowing when to use them, and honestly, that comes most of the time only with practice. Obviously, don't waste your stuff if you're not ready to do a proper chain. The only one that can be wasted is the proficiency boost, because you don't know when you're going to CC your target next, if you are going to triple kick or iron shoulder them. And thanks for watching, and see you in the part 3 of the video, where we'll be talking about the starters into Tower of Infinity combat.